There was something about the quiet space. Steam beginning to rise from the heating kettle. How the tea looked as the pea green powder was whisked into fragrant suspension. When I decided to take Japanese tea ceremony lessons, it helped that my teacher, Giselle Maya, was kind as well as patient, and that it was not entirely serious. We students laughed at our mistakes and even invented our own comic tea ceremony. After much practice, my body began to learn what my mind could not hold. And even as we focused our attention on getting the many steps in the correct order, the generosity felt quite real, as well as important. Sen no Rikyū, who had Zen training, brought Japanese tea ceremony to its peak in the 1500s, a stressful time in Japan. Warlords fought while the common people were rising up, taking on new roles. In the context of a strict class system of warriors, farmers, artisans, and merchants, this artful way of sharing tea seems remarkably welcoming. Anyone could learn it and attend large tea gatherings held in open spaces. Women and even Christian foreigners were known to practice the art. The Urasenki Tea School's English language website explains, the principles underlying this art of living are harmony, respect, purity, and tranquility. These are universal principles that in a world such as ours today, fraught with unrest, friction, self-centeredness, and other such social ailments, can guide us toward the realization of genuine peace. Harmony is found in the setting, the objects, and their placement, and in all the human interactions. Flowers are arranged and utensils selected while keeping in mind even subtle influences from the season, time of day, occasion, and the specific guests who will be attending. Respect is clear from the care taken with preparations, in the way that objects are handled, the bowing, and the words that are spoken. For example, before drinking, the first guest carefully places down the tea bowl, bows with the second guest, and says, "Excuse me for going first." Purity starts with how the garden is cleared of debris, leaving a few leaves on the moss. Purity is well represented in the tea room, not least by the tea itself. Cleansing of the tea bowl and scoop in front of the guests suggests clearing the mind and heart of distractions. Tranquility is the natural result of these other three principles. It is there in the calm demeanor of the host and the answering response of the guests. With the continuing focus on what is happening in the moment, the interaction begins to take on something of nature's own flowing rhythms. Many remark that time slows down. My mind tends to wander off during solo meditation. I find it much easier to maintain a relaxed, steady awareness while drinking tea with others. For one thing, my whole body and all of my senses have something to do. As social beings, we tend to pay attention to each other. The four principles set the stage for being truly present, for not missing out on so much that truly matters. Our lives are full of mundane activities like drinking tea. For example, bringing caring awareness to washing the dishes can turn that chore into a most joyful, fun, splashy, and playful experience. And getting everything squeaky clean together is giving a gift. It serves an important purpose. There is a famous tea saying, "One time, one meeting." Indeed, each meeting, whether with others or only in one's own mind, is a one-time opportunity that will never come again. A deep experience of connectedness is central to this art. There is a pause during tea ceremony to think of everything that went into being able to share tea together. The fertile earth, the energy of the sun, the water that flows through the tea plant and through us, the labor of all those who planted, tended, and processed the tea, and those who packaged, transported, and sold it, as well as the many others who supported those workers. And the flow continues. Scientists have found significant health benefits from drinking tea, as well as from caring face-to-face interaction. I never fail to feel centered and at peace after tea practice. And that cannot help but benefit the others I come into contact with as I continue with my day. After several years of Saturday morning tea lessons, I decided I wanted my own tea hut. That seemed like such a crazy idea. I knew I should take it seriously. I added tatami mats with 2 low benches behind them for those with bad knees, a screen to hold scrolls, and next to that, a cabinet for the many utensils that this art requires. Moss already liked to grow in the shady spot where the tea hut was located. I added stepping stones and a granite water basin. Fern and other plant moved around until they found their rightful homes. The garden and I nurtured each other through the seasons, growing deep into each other's bones. It was such a healing place that I imagined bringing my unhappy younger self there so she could bury her burdens in the moss, rest, and play on the stepping stones. I shared tea with many different people in my garden shed tea hut over the years. They always seemed to sense the warm welcome that I fully intended.
That lead me on, as stepping stones that lead me on to a place, that lead me to a place apart. A place apart, the purity and freshness here, ask only for my heart. My heart.
Once, when everything came together just right, the collective consciousness I felt growing among us, spread outward to include the tea garden, all of nature, and continued outward to include all that exists. There was simply no place to stand in judgment of myself or anyone else. That was a hugely healing moment for me. I recall it when I feel a deep connection during the creative collaboration that I love. And I recall it when all the suffering in our world begins to get to me. Struggling for survival in the face of loss and cruelty is a reality for so many these days. But as long as even small acts of kindness are possible, I can choose to bring wholesomeness into the world. Tea ceremony showed me how little it takes to share things that truly matter in life, like creating caring space just to be together and pay attention to being alive. When COVID descended, changing all of our lives, I began to take daily walks in a nearby park. I took my camera, hoping to capture what I found there through the changing seasons. As in my tea garden, I felt the tea principles supporting profound peace. But there was also a wilder energy that had ideas of its own and a certain tenaciousness. Ducks started following me as I walked around the pond. The park began to trust me enough to reveal its special hidden treasures. And I felt like I could communicate with the animals, plants, and even the rocks. Then I strongly sensed the park as a living being in its own right. When algae began spreading in its once clear pond, I was surprised by the depth of my sadness. As if to ensure I had gotten the message that more was at risk than just this special park, I came across a dying squirrel on the side of the road as I began to walk back up the hill to my house. I again felt peace mixed with awe and joy that was tinged with sadness when I visited nearby conservation land. The colors were softer that fall, but still so very beautiful. As my appreciation for how much is here and how much I could miss grew, Japanese tea ceremony began to seem like a time capsule of badly needed wisdom for our own stressful times. The moments of peace that harmony, respect, purity, and tranquility can provide are reason enough to consider inviting them into our homes, our gardens, and our relationships. But by choosing them as guides for action, we are also cultivating greater peace in our hearts. That increases our capacity for openness. With greater openness, we are more able to take in and assess our true situation and respond in ways that are wiser and more compassionate. May there be peace in our hearts and growing respect for all our relationships, including how we relate to the natural world. And may there also be laughter and creativity. Perhaps the most important thing that tea ceremony taught me is that it's possible to live life more like an intentional work of art, one that brings greater peace, openness, and caring connection into the world.